my name is Vanessa van Dijk, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use a toner. Now there are two types of toners. You can have hydrating and soothing toners at home or exfoliating acid toners. And the major difference is the frequency, like how often you can use it throughout the week and with what skincare products you can pair it. And this is what I want to share with you. So I want to share with you an overall general guide so that you know how you can properly adjust it and use your specific toner. And then I want to get into an entire application so that you can see it visually when trying this out at home. Now I want to get started with hydrating and soothing toners. Those are great to hydrate, soothe, calm and balance the pH of your skin. And they can be used daily in the morning and or evening, and they can also be used along with any other skincare products which you may have at home. So if you're planning on using a hydrating and soothing toner in your morning routine, it will look like this. You're going to get started with washing your face with a suitable cleanser for your skin type and needs. This can be an exfoliating acid cleanser or a gentle cleanser, which of course is very individual. And then after that, you're moving on to your hydrating and soothing toner, and then follow with any serums if you have any and you want to use them afterwards. And then don't forget to either use a moisturizer that already includes SPF or follow with your regular sunscreen afterwards to protect the skin and during daytime when being exposed to the sun. And when it comes to your evening routine, it's going to look very similar. Again, you're going to get started with washing your face with a suitable cleanser for your skin type and needs. Now in that specific case, you may need to adjust your cleanser to a cleanser that's able to break down your sunscreen to make sure that everything comes off if your usual daily cleanser isn't able to properly break it down. And so then you may want to look into an oil or balm cleanser. Then after that, again, you're moving on to your hydrating and soothing toner. Follow with any serums if you like to, and then depending on your skin type and needs, finish with a moisturizer. In the evening, there's no sunscreen needed. So there you have an example of a morning and evening routine and how you can incorporate it in your skincare routine. Now, when it comes to exfoliating acid toners, this is a bit more complicated since there are different exfoliating acid toners on the market. And if you do not really know what to look for, then you may not even know that you're working with an exfoliating acid toner. And so it's important to understand what to look for so that you're making sure that you're using the right one for your skin needs, and that based on that you can adjust it accordingly. So there are different categories on how you can identify if you're working with an exfoliating acid toner. So first of all, you have the AHA category, which stands for alpha hydroxy acid. So your toner can either tell you that it's an AHA toner, or it can tell you that it includes glycolic, lactic or mandelic acid in it. Those are the three most common individual exfoliating acid ingredients under the category of AHAs. They can also be a mixture. There are also some other AHAs, but those aren't as common. So if you see AHA or glycolic, lactic, mandelic acid on your packaging, then you're working with an exfoliating acid toner. And AHAs overall in general are great for normal to dry skin, can be used for all skin types, but it can help to increase the hydration within the skin. Therefore, it's recommended to be used on normal to dry skin. Works great to loosen the dead skin cells on the skin surface, which then can help you if you're suffering from dullness to get some radiance back. If you have textured skin, it can help you to smoothen your skin texture. And it's great if you should have some damaged skin or overall hyperpigmentation on the skin surface. Due to the exfoliation, it can help you to even out your skin tone a bit more over time. And so this is where AHAs are great. So if you should see it now on your toner, then you have an AHA toner at home. However, there's another category which is BHA, which stands for beta hydroxy acid. And BHA in cosmetics refers to salicylic acid. And salicylic acid is often being used if you have oily acne-prone skin or oily skin just in general and sensitive skin, because it can help you not only to loosen the dead skin cells from the skin surface, but that specific exfoliating acid ingredient can help to break through oil, which works well if you have oily skin, so they can help you to regulate your oiliness a bit more. And it's great for oily acne-prone skin because it helps to unclog the pores to achieve a bit more of an even and also calmer skin in general, since it has also some anti-inflammatory properties to it. And if you have a bit more of a sensitive skin type, then it's great for that one as well. So if you see BHA or beta hydroxy acid or salicylic acid on your toner, then you're working with a BHA toner. And then the last category is PHA. Now PHA is very common in toners as well, and if you see it on the front of your packaging, then it's great for sensitive skin, and it can be used on all skin types, but it's great for sensitive skin because it isn't as aggressive as AHA or BHA sometimes can be. So that sensitive skin has also an exfoliant where it can help you to remove the dead skin cells from the skin surface to give you all those benefits afterwards. And so you can either have like specific like names on it, or you can sometimes have a mixture. So you can see toners that include AHA and BHA, or AHA and PHA, or PHA and BHA, but you can also have like different exfoliating acid toners that include a mixture of glycolic acid, lactic acid, salicylic acid. So if you see those words on the front of your packaging, then you're working with an exfoliating acid toner. And what's important to understand when working with exfoliating acid toner is the frequency. So I wouldn't recommend using it daily right away, because this is probably very likely to end up with irritation and sensitivity. This may not happen for the first like 3 days, but it can happen when doing this over and over again. So since it helps exfoliate the skin, it is important that you understand that depending on the strength of your exfoliating acid toner and your skin in general, you need to adjust the frequency. This can be individual for everyone, since it also depends on what exfoliating acid toner that you're using. But as a general guide, I recommend start off by using it once per day, 2 to 3 times per week. For example, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do this frequency for some time to see how your skin is going to respond to it. And if you feel like it's working really well for you, go ahead and stick to it. If you feel like you can already feel a bit of sensitivity or it slightly irritates the skin, reduce the frequency. If you feel like, well, I can use it more often because that's what my skin needs, then you can increase the frequency over time, but do it like step by step to not overdo it, so that you can figure out what will work really well for your skin. Because we wanted to reduce the likelihood of experiencing irritation over time. And so I do want to quickly emphasize that adjusting the frequency over time is important to understand. So you may want to adjust the frequency in the beginning, do this for some time, and then increase it or decrease it. Because depending on how much exfoliation you're doing, your skin at some point may tell you, well, I do not need that much anymore, so then you need to adjust it again, which is very common, and I often read this in my comments as well. So therefore, always look out for how your skin is doing with it. And so when including an exfoliating acid toner in your skincare routine, I want to give you an example of a morning and evening routine, and then I want to go over with what you should not pair it in the same routine. So if you're planning on using your exfoliating acid toner in the morning, then you're going to get started with washing your face with a suitable cleanser for your skin type. Please stick to a gentle cleanser, avoid exfoliating acid cleansers. Once you're done with washing your face, move on to your exfoliating acid toner. After that, follow with a serum. I'm going into this in just a moment. And then follow with either a moisturizer that already contains SPF or with your regular sunscreen. Sun protection during daytime when working with an exfoliating acid toner, doesn't matter if you're using it in the morning or evening, is important, since exfoliating acid toners can make the skin sensitive to the sun. So this would be an example of a morning routine so that you can see the order of application. When it comes to your evening routine, again, wash your face with a gentle cleanser that's suitable for your skin type and needs. You may need to adjust the cleanser depending on the sunscreen that you're using to make sure that everything comes off. Then you're moving on to your exfoliating acid toner, then your serum if you have any and you want to follow it afterwards, and then your moisturizer if needed, depending on your skin type. So in the evening, again, there's no sunscreen needed. Now, the reason why I did not go into the specific serums yet is because I want to keep it as a separate part now. And when working with exfoliating acid toners, then you have to be careful with certain ingredients such as retinol, retinoids, and vitamin C in that specific case, since they do not conflict with each other. They can actually be used in the same routine, but depending on the exfoliating acid toner that you have, the strength of it, and your retinol, retinoid, or vitamin C, it's best to keep them separate, because that specific combination can become pretty strong and intense that it leads to irritation in the long run. And so when working with, let's say, vitamin C, and you have a vitamin C product at home that contains ascorbic acid, which is the pure form of vitamin C, and you have a vitamin C product that's above 15%, like 15% or higher, my best advice would be keeping your exfoliating acid toner and vitamin C product separate. Since the higher you're going up in strength, the more likely it can be quite strong for your skin to tolerate, and then it starts to sting or it feels like it's burning on the skin. And so that's what we want to avoid. So if you should have a vitamin C serum at home, which is either a derivative or ascorbic acid, and it's below 15%, then you're fine to use them in the same routine. Still, if any sensitivity should occur, keep them separate. So this would be one example where I recommend not using them in the same routine. So either use one in the morning, the other one in the evening, or alternate between them depending on the days that you're going to use them. The same would apply to retinol and retinoids. So if you should have a retinoid at home like adapalene, please keep them separate since it can cause irritation and sensitivity over time. The same would apply to tretinoin. So if you have tretinoin at home, please follow the advice of your doctor. I'm not getting into this because it's a drug that you cannot get over the counter. And then you have retinol as well, which can come in different strengths. So if you have a retinol at home where it does not mention a percentage, you're probably fine using your exfoliating acetone and retinol in the same routine because it isn't really strong. However, if you notice over time that sensitivity occurs, keep them separate. Which is again very individual, but it's more so if you're using retinols that contain 0.2, 0.5 or either 1% of retinol. If you see a certain percentage of it in it and you're being new to both products, please keep them separate because you want to reduce the likelihood of experiencing irritation, and retinol already on its own can lead in the beginning to irritation, so you want to be careful with it. And so this is also another ingredient where I recommend keeping it separate when using your exfoliating acid toner. Now there's one other ingredient that I do want to emphasize, or well, not an ingredient, it's more so a category, and this is peptides. Specifically more the ordinary peptides. Since the ordinary specifically mentions, well, if you're using our peptide serums, please do not use them in the same routine with exfoliating acids. So if you have an exfoliating acid toner at home and you have one of the ordinary peptide serums at home, please keep them separate. Again, use them at different times or different days. Either way is fine, just do not use them in the same routine. And so this is like an overall guide what you have to be aware of when working with an exfoliating acid toner. So, and I now want to get started with the application on my face so that you can see it visually. Now again, we're going to get started with the first step, which is washing your face with a suitable cleanser for your skin type and needs. Again, if you're working with an hydrating and soothing toner, you're fine to use an exfoliating acid cleanser in that same routine. However, if you're using an exfoliating acid toner, then please stick to a gentle cleanser only. Your cleanser should be able to break down any excess oil, dirt and sweat from the skin, and sunscreen in the evening. So I have two examples right here from La Roche-Posay or CeraVe, and those are two great gentle cleansers. As I want to keep it as simple and understandable as possible, I'm sticking to gentle cleansers. And if you have one of them at home, or you have a different gentle cleanser at home that works really well for you, that does not irritate or sting on the skin, then you're fine to use that one. Just make sure to read on the back of the packaging on how you should use your cleanser, since directions may change depending on the cleanser that you're using. Do you have to apply it on wet or on dry skin, which depends on the cleanser that you're using. And please make sure to read on the back of the packaging if you can use your cleanser around the eyes or if you should avoid the eye area. Now with the one from La Roche-Posay, since that one is great for dry sensitive skin types, I'm using that one on dry skin, but then later on I'm going to rinse it off with water, which is optional. You can or cannot rinse it off with water, which depends on your skin. But in that specific case, I'm going to apply the cleanser on dry skin. If your cleanser has to be applied on wet skin, then you would at first wet your face and then apply the cleanser on wet skin. So go ahead and use about 1 to 2 pumps, or about a pea-sized amount of your cleanser in the palm of your hand, like so. Use it between your hands, and then again either apply it on wet or on dry skin and massage it all over for 30 seconds to a minute. So, and once you have massaged your cleanser all over your face and neck, then now you can go ahead and remove it, either in that specific case with cotton pad or tissues, or with water, or just rinse it off with water. If you're going to rinse it off with water, use lukewarm water to warm water so it feels comfortable on the skin. And depending on the cleanser, when doing this specifically above the sink, you may find it helpful to also use a fresh and soft cloth, like washcloth in between, which you can wet, and this can help you to remove the cleanser a bit better to make sure that everything comes off. So now go ahead and take a fresh towel and pat the skin dry. So now once you are done with your cleansing step, you can immediately move on to the next step, which is applying your toner. Again, this can either be your hydrating and soothing toner or your exfoliating acid toner. One thing won't change is the way on how you're going to apply it, which can either be with the palm of your hand or with a cotton pad. This of course is personal preference, and it just depends on what works the best for you. Just make sure that when using a cotton pad, you do not need to soak up the entire cotton pad. You need to use a bit more as if you would use it in the palm of your hand, that's for sure, since a cotton pad absorbs a bit, but still please do not overdo it, since you should be able to apply the product evenly all over your face and neck, and then your skin should feel slightly damp. Then give it a moment so it can absorb into the skin before moving on to the next step. Now, if you're working with an hydrating and soothing toner, I have two examples right here from Paula's Choice or Thea's toners. Those are two great examples of gentle and very refreshing and calming toners. So if you have a gentle and hydrating toner at home, then one thing that you're going to do is basically you can use it all over your face and neck. You can also use it on the eye contour. Just make sure to not get it into your eyes basically. And I wouldn't use it on the eyelids because this still can get into your eyes, but you're fine to use it on the eye contour and just evenly apply it all over. However, in this specific case, I want to keep my focus on exfoliating acid toners because that's a bit more of the trickiest part. It's not so much about a hydrating and soothing toner. This is very easy to use since you can use it daily without any concerns and issues. And you can basically apply it all over so that it can feel very refreshing and hydrating on the skin. But when working with an exfoliating acid toner, you have to be a bit more careful with certain areas, such as please do not use it on top of your eyelids. Please do not get it into your eyes, and depending on your exfoliating acid toner that you're using, please read on the back of the packaging if you can use it on the eye contour or if you should leave it out. This depends on the exfoliant that is being used. So if it states that you can use it on the eye contour, or it just says do not get it into your eyes or avoid the eye area, this basically means please do not get it too close to the actual eye where it actually can get into your eyes. However, if it specifically states please do not use it on the eye contour, then avoid the eye contour. Or overall, as a general guide, if you know that you have a sensitive eye area, please avoid the eye area in general. Doesn't matter what exfoliating acid toner that you're using, since it may lead a bit more to irritation since the skin is a bit thinner around that part. The same would apply to your lips. Please do not use it on top of your lips. Please do not get it into your lips. If you know that you have certain areas like around the nose or around the lips where it sometimes can be a bit more sensitive, if you know that you are a bit more sensitive on those specific areas, avoid this part. Still, you can use it on the rest of your face and neck. And so in this example, I'm going to use the ordinary glycolic acid toning solution since it is an exfoliant, so that you can see that you really have to be careful with it. And when using, for example, the ordinary glycolic acid toning solution, it specifically says please avoid the eye contour since again it's quite strong, may lead to irritation. And so again, the way that you're going to use it, either with the palm of your hands or cotton pads, won't change, doesn't matter on what toner you're going to use. So if you're going to use it in the palm of your hand, it's difficult to show right here. Use about a coin size amount. So use about that the mid part of your hand is basically covered with product. It's really difficult to show because it's so thin in texture. And then use your hands together so that you have it on both hands, and then start applying it all over your face and neck. Again, depending on what toner you are using, just be careful with the eyes and mouth area or around the nose. But other than that, the actual application, how you're going to distribute it with your hands, is going to be the same. However, if you're going to apply it with a cotton pad, you need to use a bit more since it can absorb quite a lot of product. But again, I recommend not overdoing it, especially when using exfoliating acid toners, because if you're going to use too much product of your exfoliating acid toner and then applying it to the skin, it can be a bit overwhelming for the skin as well. Just make sure that you're using enough so that you can evenly apply it all over, but don't overdo it. So about that much, more or less. If you feel like you still have some way to go and the cotton pad feels dry, you always can add a bit more product to it, but start off with more or less of a coin size amount. Use a bit more on the cotton pad as you would use in the palm of your hand, and then gently swipe it across your face as well as neck. Now if you now, for example, should already feel, well, there's no product left anymore on my pad, then go ahead and use a bit more on it so that you get an idea of how much you need to use. So, and once you were able to properly blend it all over with your hands or with a cotton pad, and you feel like your skin is slightly damp all over, this is what it should feel like. It should not feel completely wet. Then now you can give it 30 seconds to a minute in between so that the product has time to absorb into the skin, which is going to be the same. Doesn't matter if you're using your hydrating and soothing toner or exfoliating acid toner. And then once you have applied your toner to the skin, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And then now, if you like to, you can go ahead and follow with your serums afterwards, if you have some, and depending on what toner you're using, and make sure that it's working well with your skin concerns. Then go ahead, and now would be the time after your toning step to apply your serums to the skin. And then after that, in the evening, and if you should feel the need, follow with your moisturizer. Just make sure that you're going to use a moisturizer that's suitable for your skin type and needs, which is very individual. If you feel not in need of using a moisturizer, that's fine, just skip it. Then your toner and or serums are going to be your last step. But if you're using a moisturizer, use about a pea-sized amount, more or less. If you have a drier skin type, use a bit more, so that you're able to blend it all over properly, so it can feel, so that it basically feels hydrating and calming on the skin to protect the skin. However, when it comes to your morning routine, since this is where I want to keep my focus on, sun protection is important. Like sun protection overall is important when doing your skincare routine in the morning and when planning on being exposed to the sun. Not only to basically protect the skin from premature aging or sun damaged skin, but especially also if you're working with exfoliating acid toners, because again, they can make the skin sensitive to the sun. Therefore, sun protection during daytime, doesn't matter when you're going to use your toner, is important. So you can either follow with a moisturizer that already includes SPF, or with your common sunscreen, like your regular sunscreen. Make sure that it feels comfortable on the skin, that it does not irritate or sting in any way, because this is not what the sunscreen should do. The sunscreen should feel comfortable on the skin, and it should protect the skin throughout the day. When doing this in the morning, apply your sunscreen 10 to 15 minutes before sun exposure, and don't forget to reapply throughout the day, especially if your sunscreen can wear off, break down, or even like move around. Then the reapplication of your sunscreen is important. So let's say you have been in the sun for several hours where the sunscreen can break down. Reapply it at least once a day again, so that you can keep the protection going. If you are going to do outdoor activities where you sweat a lot, please don't forget to reapply the sunscreen again throughout the day. And the same would apply if you're going for a swim where the sunscreen can wear off. Then the reapplication is important to keep the protection going. Use an SPF of 15 or greater if you're not being that much exposed to the sun, or an SPF of 30 or greater if you're being more so exposed to the sun, so that you find the right sunscreen or moisturizer with sunscreen to your day-to-day activities. Now I'm going to stick to a regular sunscreen. I'm going to use Anessa's Perfect UV Sunscreen, which is a gel. And one thing that won't change, doesn't matter what sunscreen you have or what moisturizer with SPF you have, the amount of product won't change. Since you need to use a lot like a fair amount, so that you can evenly apply it all over your face and neck. So my method that I always like to stick to and also share with you, especially if you're being new to it, use a teaspoon next to you and use about half a teaspoon for your face and neck and about a teaspoon for your face, neck and décolletage, so that you have enough product to evenly apply it all over. If you feel like, let's say you're going to use it for your face and neck, depending on the sunscreen, the amount can change a slightly bit. So if you feel like half a teaspoon is going to be a bit too much, I'm being left with too much sunscreen, then by the next time reduce it a bit. If you feel like, well, I haven't used enough, then go ahead and use a bit more. But one thing that won't change is that you need to use quite a lot of product, and therefore I feel like the teaspoon method is a great guide to show you how much you actually would need to use. So about that much more or less for your face and neck. Again, you can adjust it. This is just a general guide to give you an idea of how much you would need to use. And then use it between your hands and evenly apply it all over your face and neck. So, and once you have applied your sunscreen all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. And again, you only need to wear sun protection during daytime. In the evening, there's no need. And again, if you feel like that you find the example routines that I showed you earlier in the video helpful and you want to use them as a guide, you can go ahead and download them in the description box down below so that you can use it when setting up your skincare routine. And this is what I wanted to share with you. I do hope that you find this video helpful, that you enjoyed it. And if you did so, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up as well as share it. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye!